Prepare to be amazed.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be.
How you doing, everybody? This is Jason from Jason's House of Fun and Video Games, bringing you today a day in the life of a video game collector, Volume 2. Now, in this series, we can do a lot of different things because it's a very distinct but vague statement. A day in the life of a video game collector. What does that mean to me? In the first volume, which I'll have included up here in some card or something like that, so you can check out if you'd like, if it's your first time with the channel, we went to the video game store after combing through some of the collection that you see in front of you and decided to make a move and try to get some stuff that will help us regain some of our coup with some money spent, or add some stuff to the collection that we want while taking stuff out that we're not necessarily needing anymore or don't want anymore, or just decided off of it, to give that to somebody else, have them the opportunity to play a cool game that they may like. So it all works out in the end. I always said that I don't like selling anything in my collection. Well, people change. Space changes. Clearly, from what you've seen before, the space that I have right now is not as big lengthwise, horizontally, if I may say, as my previous game rooms. Previous game room, I should say. And you got to be very specific when you're in a much more confined spot, which I'm okay with, because for me it's a good thing. I can kind of make my moves that I want to make when I decide to change around the game room, and it's not really a huge project. It's always going to be a large project, but not a huge project where I'm going from one end of the spectrum to another. And I know that's kind of difficult to articulate in words, but I'll try to throw up some video throughout this conversation of what the game room looked like before, what it looks like now, so you can get a pretty good scope of what I'm working with here. So we decided in this episode, in this video, in this volume, whatever you want to call it, we're going to go through the collection, see if there's any kind of video games that we don't want anymore. I actually just had my birthday, so now I'm 38 years old, so all of you out there that have been around for a while, thank you for wishing me a happy birthday, and if you want to wish me a belated, I'm not going to take offense to it, and if you don't, it's perfectly fine, I'm good with it. But we need to go through our video game collection, see what we want to take out, if there is anything. And clearly, as you can see from the thumbnail, we did find a substantial amount that it's time to move on. So over the last couple of years, I've been hitting the thrift like crazy, like a madman, almost daily. And we've been able to get a lot of video games that at one point we wanted to try. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't like it, maybe it doesn't work. But if it didn't work, then I wouldn't put it in this. So I guess that's probably the best thing that we need to take away from that, is that if it didn't work, it wouldn't be in this, obviously, because I'm not going to trade a game that doesn't work. That's just foolish. Clearly, you know, that's not good business. And I plan on doing a lot of business with this specific video game store that is not too far away, but far away enough where we can visit it every now and then. So with all that being said, let's get to what I decided it's time to say our final farewells and get something else. We combed through the collection, and there might still be enough for another type of video like this, but I'm not sure at this point. The interesting thing about collecting is that it is ever changing in how you feel about your collection, what you feel you need and what you don't need. So what I was trying to get into with the thrift that I kind of cut myself off for, that I'm going to go over now, is very simple. The thrift had a lot of great games, and I've tried similar methods to getting some more money for some games that I didn't necessarily want, to add to what we can buy for the collection and everything like that. It hasn't really worked out 100% in my favor, but we did get more than what we spent, so I guess that kind of works out. But I've heard of people really mastering this, and honestly, hopefully someday I get to that point, but I haven't. And for a long time, like I said, 2 years straight, going hard, especially when I was in Massachusetts, I would hit the thrift almost every day, if not a few of them, trying to collect some video games that were, you know, anywhere between $1 and $3 a piece. So some of these games you can get a decent amount for. Some of them you get more than $1 for. That over what you spent is what I mean. So we'll see how it goes. I did go through on how much through my CLZ app that goes off of price charting for value on what these were, just to make sure I wasn't putting anything crazy out there. And if it was, I put it aside. Maybe we'll try to sell that in a different form, but only time will tell. So now that I got that out of the way, let's get to it. So first couple that are going to be up, it's kind of a weird one. I didn't even realize I have that. And mind you, I've obviously moved, like I said, from Massachusetts to the current place I reside in, and that was a very hectic time. You can check out another video I'll throw up. That is one of my personal favorite videos, at least from a growing standpoint, mixing the platform along with some personal stuff, which I don't typically do. So might be something to check out, and we'll definitely leave the card up below or up high or whatever. We'll figure it out. But some of these games, because I was getting so many games at one point for such cheap prices, I didn't even realize that I didn't add them in my app. So that app is a fantastic app. I'm not sponsored by them by any means, but when a good product is out there, I'll absolutely give it its due justice rather. I think that's probably a better way to say it. But at the same time, like I said, I'm not sponsored by it, so I don't want you to think that my opinion out of it is obligated in any way, because it's not. I'm just a very upfront and honest person, and let's get to it. So this is the first one. I don't even want to put it down here like this. This looks fine. I forgot that I had this. I kind of put it off over that way onto one of my I think one of my groupings of PS2 games. So we're going to put that flat so it doesn't hit the disc. That is Guitar Hero. I've never really had any interest in it. I don't even know how I got it. I believe, actually, now that I'm remembering, one of my first-gen PS2s actually had that in it, if I believe. So, moving on, we've got a GameCube game. Or, sorry, not a GameCube game, a DS game. And what is it? Well, this is what it looks like without the cover. It looks absolutely horrible, but I didn't even know what direction it was in. Avatar the game. Don't really have any interest in it, but maybe somebody else will. So this right here is going to be SOCOM. And like I did before, I'm going to make sure that everything is in here that should be in here, the correct disc and everything like that. I think these are in pretty good condition, and the video game store that I'm going to be going to actually resurfaces games, so I don't think it'll be an issue unless I have like part of the disc missing. So I was going to keep these. I was going to try to go for a complete collection. I really enjoyed this when it first came out, but you know, at the same time, I think that enough time has passed, and I didn't really put it in, and it requires you to be online and everything like that. Not for the full game, but for the full experience. So a great introduction into a game that you know, ended up not really coming out with any more titles, I believe, after the PS2 generation. It could be wrong, but it kind of reminds me of what Rainbow Six is today. A lot different, but you know, just with the cooperative, working with a team and everything like that, it feels very similar. So, and I've never actually checked out that game. I just saw a lot of reviews on it and footage because it interests me, because you know I'm a Call of Duty guy. So again, another one on that. I could have swore I had all three of them, but I guess I don't. So got everything in there. And that, oh, maybe that is, yeah, it's a broadband. That's what it was. Online, broadband only. Yeah, that doesn't really do any good for me. This one right here, I'm actually going to dig into the GameCube collection of games that, you know, I haven't gotten around to, or, you know, I played for a little bit and, you know, it doesn't really do anything for me. So, Naruto 2, this was a thrift pickup for sure, as most of these will be. It is complete, and it's actually not a very expensive game. I thought it would be, but it's actually not that valuable, surprisingly. I think a few of them are, though. Jimmy Neutron, again, probably, most likely from the thrift. But it is complete, and hopefully somebody down the line will be able to play this and enjoy it. Another GameCube game. I know, big surprise. I never get rid of my GameCube games. But again, I'm only going to really focus on keeping things that I want to play, and kind of taking stuff out that doesn't really interest me, or maybe I want to do a video on it or whatever. So the other side of the world that I had to really dig into was the Xbox 360 and possibly the Xbox, but I don't have many titles on Xbox. I think I've been pretty good with being very selective on the things that I want. So this one right here is Batman, the video game. I love the Batman games, but Batman, Lego, anything with Lego. This is a pure Batman combo. Again, not too expensive, but somebody might enjoy that. It's a pretty good deal. I even think I popped it in again, a thrift find, of course. Battlefield, Bad Company 2. I wish I got into this when this first came out, but, you know, kind of at this point in time, you know, what am I going to do, right? So, as the dogs start to go crazy, and the chaos has begun. Fallout New Vegas. This is something, again, I wanted to check out at some point, but I think too much time has passed, and I think it's time to move it on to another person that can actually use it. And this right here is Call of Duty World at War. Another Call of Duty game that I passed on in the beginning when it first came out. I really, really wish that I had the opportunity to play this when it was live and it had multiplayer on it. It still does now. You can't really find lobbies or anything like that, but yep, time to move it out. Again, same idea is going to be Call of Duty Black Ops. I passed on this, and I really wish I didn't. I got into Black Ops when it was Black Ops 3, so I heard this was really good, and the second one is extremely good. So, moving on. What else we got here? We got a few more. Just a few more. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2013. Works better with the Kinect. This is when games stopped really having big, heavy manuals. So I've got a few golf games in case I want to check them out. I find them interesting. They're fun to play every once in a while, but honestly, I don't need too many. I like NBA Jam. I like NBA Jam Hang Time. I like NFL Blitz. I'm not really good at sports games. I have a few Maddens. You know, it's been fun to mess around with, but I get absolutely demolished when I play with friends or family in the past. So, NBA 2K15 with Mr. Kevin Durant when he was part of the Oklahoma team. That's going to go. And we had 2 copies of this, which is Assassin's Creed 3, and it's the GameStop edition. It has some sort of special stuff in it. I don't know. But we already have it, and this is the multiplayer disc. I didn't even realize it was 2 discs. I completely forgot that. So, but hopefully somebody else will like to add that to their collection. Ghost Recon 2 would have been a great game to get into. It's not complete, but this is actually for the Xbox, and you know, I believe you don't need broadband to necessarily play this like the SOCOM series, but I've seen a lot of good things about it. You know, a good friend of mine played the most recent one, said it was pretty good, but you know, not really something I'm into, so time to let it go. Cabela's, yeah, I guess Cabela's Outdoor Adventures. I have a ton of these, and I just wanted maybe 1 or 2 of them just to kind of try it out. I think I messed around with it a little bit when I first got a Wii. I didn't put any videos together for it or anything like that, but pretty interesting games. Kind of reminds me of Duck Hunt. There's a arcade that I used to play a long time ago in Massachusetts that actually was like a big buck hunter, so it kind of reminds me of that. And obviously we're getting into the Wii stuff now. Might be bouncing back to the Xbox 360. Call of Duty 3 for the Wii. Again, this was probably a thrift find. Actually, it was, because I never had a Wii until after I started hitting the thrift. So, yeah. It was a pretty good COD. I played a little bit of the campaign. They have great campaigns. But I more so play it for the multiplayer aspect now. This one right here is going to be Shaun White's snowboarding. I don't even think I popped it in the system. I'm not really sure. But I have enough games like this. Don't really need any more in the collection. Gears of War 3. Again, another one I wish I didn't miss when it first came out, because I think that there's another new one out for the Series X. I'm not sure. There might be one coming out, but there's some pretty cool things in here. It's got, you know, somewhat of an instruction manual. If you would call it that. Yeah, that's pretty weak sauce on the instruction manual, but that's pretty cool. So hopefully somebody will enjoy that. And what else we got here? Another Ghost Recon game. We found these both at the same time, I believe, at a Salvation Army. I'm not sure though. It's been so long and so many games in between. So yeah, that's gonna go. And then we have two more Wii titles, or sorry, two more GameCube titles. Surprisingly. Harry Potter and the World Cup. I believe this is complete. It is, so not really into Harry Potter, the Harry Potter universe too much, but I'd like to see the movies at some point. The games just, you know, whatever. They don't really interest me, but it might be cool to check out at some point, but we're going to bring it to somebody else who can. And this is Avatar, The Last Airbender. I know very little about this series, but it's very popular, just like the Naruto, very popular. So hopefully that'll go to a home that will enjoy it. And I believe that that is all that we have, and these are going to be that. And I forgot to get into the reason why I actually thought about doing this again. I think I briefly said for my birthday. I can't really remember now. Even I literally just shot it, so I guess 38 is a tough age to be. I don't know, whatever, but. I actually got a gift card for this video game store for a little bit of money. So plus that and this, I should be able to get something pretty cool to add to the collection. Whether it's one or two things, or maybe it's none, and I just build up the money, because you know gift cards typically don't with a don't have an expiration date on them. So I'm not looking for cash for these. I'm just looking for trading credit, and well, I'd say that's pretty much it. So. We're going to release these from the collection, hopefully put it into somebody else's who really wants it, who's going for a complete collection in any one of these systems, and maybe they were just really looking for a few of these games. So let's get to it, and let's get on the road.
Just happened. This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas song. My neighbors compete to see who can put up more blinding lights. The kids all wish away the month 'cause they want presents.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Let's see what we can get. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the game room. We had a very successful trip to the video game store. Remember the titles that I had to trade in, because I wasn't selling them for cash. I wanted it for store credit to get other games that I wanted, and maybe go after some girls if there were any that were applicable. Got some decent hitters, and got some titles I'm interested to play and review at some point, of course. With the trade-in, I believe that we made out pretty good. Remember, a lot of these games that I had traded in were games that I got from the thrift, anywhere between, you know, $1 to $3. You get a decent amount for most of them, not a ton of them. Not a ton of them. I mean, not the whole lot. You know, there's going to be some that, you know, I can't get the whole bunch of money on, but it's certainly enough. And we certainly made our money back, and we poured it back into the, well, I wouldn't call it the game fund because it really had that. A lot of people call it that. So I'd say put it back into the pot and put more money back into the video game store, which is really important to keep it going. So let's go over the titles without further ado. Now, I completed 2 series finally that I've been waiting to complete for a long time. The first one being Jet Moto 3. Now, with this, I haven't played this since, I think the 90s. That's how long it's been. I've played the other 2, but this one I didn't get. A good friend of mine, she had this one along with the other 2. She was a big fan of these when we were much younger. So glad to finally add that to the collection. Complete in box, all of them today except for one. Discs are obviously going to look good. They resurface them pretty much right in front of you if need be. And, excuse me, if you request to have that done. But overall, they're in all good condition. Now this one right here, another completion of a series, I believe. Unless there's one more I can't think of. Driver Parallel Lines. I don't know why I didn't pull the trigger on this at one point. This isn't the correct price on it. They change prices and they vary. Their labels definitely are different than the ones we see here. So they're normally a red label that's usually right on the front. So this one right here is what GTA, this is a good precursor to GTA and what we found in GTA 3. So it's a 3D world. It's not necessarily fully open, but I definitely wanted to complete that series, and glad to have it. Just look at that, huh? It's pretty good. I like that cover. Oh, look at that instruction manual. It's from Atari as well. We've got some more things from Atari. You see that? Look at that, huh? I didn't even know that did that. Nice. This is rated M for what? Oh, wow. It's rated M for a whole bunch of stuff, so outstanding. And we actually went after a lot of Xbox games today. I traded in a few that I didn't necessarily need or want, but I did get my OG Xbox finally back in the collection after many years of wishing that I did not sell it to eventually get a PS2. And I want to get some games for it. It's not going to be a huge collection, just a few titles that I see out there that I find that are interesting. Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2. I don't think I have Volume 1, but it has over 20 endless memories, 20 games, endless memories, okay? I have enough ports of Street Fighter, but there's a bunch of other stuff on here. Interesting thing about these collections is that they release a lot of arcade ports that never see releases again. I'll give you for a few examples. Duck Hunt. That is not true. That is an incorrect statement. DuckTales Remastered was on the PS3, mainly sold digital only. There was a very mild limited release. It might even been like limited run, I'm not sure, of the physical version. Never got the chance to pull the trigger on it. Wish I did. But that is the reason why you jump on those right away. Another one that I can think of that is digital only, that was on the PS3 was X-Men the Arcade. That is no longer available. I re-downloaded it once the PS3 store was potentially going to shut down last summer. It did not, after lots of protests from gamers, and they changed their mind on it. But just definitely something to keep in mind. Once these things are gone, they're gone sometimes. It's not usually because they can't be ported. It might be because they're not necessarily profitable. But the licenses, the trademarks run out on them. So licenses change. I don't know the exact details and everything, but a lot of that has to do with, like, for example, the X-Men or the Simpsons arcade. I know 1UP just recently released a physical release of the original arcade game. PS3 had it at one point. I didn't pull the trigger on it. I should have, because that's a real fun game, but just something to think about. And what do we get next? Excuse me. This is going to be a game I'm not too familiar with, but looks like another GTA clone. It's 187 Ride or Die, and it's got a guy shooting a rocket launcher. I believe that is Lorenz Tate, if I'm not mistaken. Matter of fact, it is. Look at me. I'm good. This right here, like I said, looks like a similar GTA clone. And yeah, pretty excited to have it to the collection, be able to play it, try it out. Not too shabby. This one right here is going to be called Chicago Enforcers. Or Enforcer, Lethal Enforcers, Chicago Enforcer. Look at that, Xbox only. So glad I finally got the OG Xbox back. The reason why this interested me is because you work for Al Capone. So this is based in the Prohibition part of our history. And I don't see many games like this. I have never seen this game before, so looks pretty cool. Can't wait to try it out. This is a first-person shooter, so what are the first-person shooters that I enjoy? One of them is the first couple of Medal of Honors. Call of Duty, obviously, now. Up until the big one I really got stuck on the Call of Duty series was Modern Warfare. Call of Duty 4. So these are great games, and something else to think about with these. Don't always read what you believe. And what does that mean? It's such a cliche thing to say, right? Well, Game Informer, or EGM, that's Electronic Gaming Monthly. It was a magazine that was around for a while and is no longer because of the internet, blah, 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 blah. And that kind of sucks, because I'd love to be able to pick up a gaming magazine other than Game Informer. Game Informer is great, don't get me wrong, but Electronic Gaming Monthly, Game Pro, Nintendo Power, these were heavy hitters, and Game Informer is cool, but the one they have now, it just doesn't feel the same as the originals, but does it ever? Anyway, in one of those magazines, those gaming magazines, a game called Urban Chaos Riot Response, along with the original Urban Chaos, which was released on the PS1, Riot Response being on PS2. I remember the exact number because I'll never forget it. It was so many years ago. The first one came out in 97, 98, probably right around the time of Tenchu. It's a great game I'd like to cover on the channel. That game got a 1.5, so that is the bottom of the barrel. It's the worst score that I've ever seen in a gaming magazine. I don't think there's anything more worse than I've seen than that. When I picked it up, I said, I'm going to try it anyway. It looks really cool. You play as a female cop, I believe. There's a whole kind of conspiracy thing going on. The lighting and the graphics aren't always going to be the best. Remember, with CD-based games from the past, not necessarily Sega CD, because they were very bright for the most part. You'll see this sometimes in 64 games. So specifically, I can remember Shadows of the Empire. If you do not play it on a CRTV and do not have the functionality of changing the lighting, the brightness rather, of the TV, you're going to have a tough time. And that's one of those games you have a really tough time seeing. My CRT that I have now, I don't have an original controller for it. So, excuse me, I cannot change the brightness on it, I don't believe. I haven't figured it out yet, but hopefully I do sooner or later. But anyway, those would be tough to play. Long-winded answer, but certainly something to think about. I'd love to throw in those few gaming facts that I have. I have a whole bunch of them. Right before the pretty substantial hitters, I'm going to go over some loose cart stuff that I have. These are games I've been waiting to pull the trigger on one. I just finally did, and I'll explain why I decided on one of them. So, Cruisin' World Exotica. If you ever played this in the arcade, you know what I'm talking about. The Cruisin' series was fantastic. The racing games they have now in arcades are okay. Nothing beats Cruisin' World. Or Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' World. This one as well. And not in the best condition, a little bit of sun damage, but Again, we're not looking for a complete in-box collection of every single game, especially with the 64. I've got the ones I think I'd really want, and maybe it might be a good video at some point. I'm thinking of different types of videos to bring out, and maybe just focus on a specific collection. I think that would be really good, because the game room tours are great. I do go in depth on a lot of them, but I think it'd be good to get some more thoughts on and be more specific to the type of system that I'd like to cover. So something I might think of. Just thinking out loud. Cruis'n USA, sorry. Another great game. Needs no introduction. I'd love to have the actual arcade of this. It's very expensive. I'm sure it's anywhere between $5,000 and $13,000. I'll kind of throw out there. I know that Arcade 1-Up actually released a version of that, I believe. And not anything I bothered to check out, because with that game, I want the real deal. Like, I want the thing that weighs 10,000 pounds. So, definitely something. Maybe it'll come my way someday. You never know. Last, certainly not least, for the loose carts, it's going to be Yoshi's Story. I never had any interest in this. So look at that. Blockbuster warning. If the tape is tampered with, customer must pay for the cost of the tape. I didn't rent a lot of cart-only games. I don't remember even renting one single N64 game from Blockbuster. Back in the day, if you are new here or much younger audience, back in the day, you could go to video rental stores like Blockbuster, a lot of mom and pop ones. You might think of Hollywood Video, West Coast Video. There's a ton of them out there. Mine was Family Video, I think, and I think one of them was Dean's Video at one point. Like, they were great. Fantastic. You go to a store, rent a game, play it, blah, blah, blah. I know there's a lot of different things we can do now. Obviously, with the birth of Netflix and the internet, that took us all by storm in a positive way for the most part. The video game stores and video rental stores, kind of just went to the side. Blockbuster did not, I believe, didn't dabble into the world of digital media, and that might have been a costly part of why they ended up filing bankruptcy. I believe there was only one left in the entire country. Maybe there was two at one point, one in Alaska, one somewhere else. But there is actually one open now that isn't open for rentals. But I guess if you wanted to take a weekend with some friends or some family and hang out in a Blockbuster-like store, I think there's something around those lines. I can't remember. I saw it like well over a year ago, but it'd be a pretty cool experience for sure. Last, but certainly not least, we got some decent hitters right here. This is a game I almost pulled the trigger on when I was back in Massachusetts. And I decided not to because and mind you, I don't mind games. I've always said I don't mind games that have a little dings in them or certain things on them. It brings character, it brings some sort of historical value to it. But the one that I saw was just absolutely horrendous. It wasn't worth what it was being charged for, in my opinion. So this right here was a Xbox only game. I saw this way after I sold my Xbox. I was like, wow, this looks like a really cool game, and I missed it. I should have just pulled the trigger on it and said I'll eventually get an Xbox again, but I didn't. I believe this one came out in 2005, I want to say it is. Let me see here. I thought it was 2005. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, somewhere in the 2000s, you get to be a zombie. It looks like a third-person platformer or action game. I don't remember what that term would be, but I've heard a lot of good things about this game. I heard it's really funny, and it's different. It's certainly a product of its time. Where zombies, movies, games, etc., even TV shows eventually, going with The Walking Dead back in October 2010, Zombie Nation took over the world when the 2000s hit. So had some heavy hitters, and they had Dawn of the Dead remake, a fantastic movie. It had a few other ones after that, Land of the Dead and Diary of the Dead and Dead. Whole bunch of dead stuff. So I don't mean that. Nah, I don't mean it like that. That came out wrong. A whole bunch of zombie movies is probably the best way to put it. Some good and a good amount that not so good. But it is what it is, and just something I wanted to check out. Last, certainly not least, this right here is Atari 2600 game. It is Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. I'd like to get the original Star Wars as well, complete in box. And I don't have many complete in box Ataris. This game was released in 1982. I have this already loose. I found it in a video game store many, many years ago. Not a very expensive game, but box art is great. Look at that. For the Atari and Sears video game systems. Now, something that we must go over before we get into unboxing this game is that these systems back then said they wouldn't play on one another, but a lot of the games were playable on the other systems. Pretty much anything could be played on the Atari. Not everything, but most things, I should say, rather. And I've never tested that theory, but that's just what I've seen on videos on the platform and general information that I have about the Atari. So let's take a quick peek, because this is in excellent condition. Remember, with these type of boxes where they are very old, be very careful with them. And obviously look for mold as well, because the type of cardboard, just like any cardboard, can definitely grow mold with certain temperatures and stuff like that. So pretty cool looking manual. Not a huge one because it wasn't a huge game. The Force, interesting. End of game. The game ends when the lead Imperial Walker reaches the power generator, or when the last of your snow speeders is destroyed. Interesting. I had a lot of fun with this. It was a good game. It's a good game to put on every once in a while. Official Star Wars fan club membership application form. I wonder if I look that up, would that address still be there? It's a P.O. box, so potentially. I don't know. But pretty good stuff. I don't know if my cart looks better than this or not, but this box looks amazing. The manual's in great condition, but I believe this is in really good condition for its time, certainly. Look at that, huh? Can I do this justice? Can I hold this a certain level? Oh, yeah, look at that, huh? Amazing. That's so clean. I guess from what they were telling me at the game store, that a collector of Atari was trying to get rid of some of their doubles. They might have a really large collection of Atari. I wonder if they have something else. You know what I'm talking about. No, you might not. So let's go over it real quick. Just as an added bonus segment of this video. The two games I would really like to get complete in box, other than a few, but definitely ones that come up, is Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you know anything about those releases, they were released in the late 70s, early 80s, I believe. I don't know the exact year. I believe it was 79, maybe 78 for one of them. Not really sure, but they're heavy hitters. I've only seen them on eBay, very few and far between. A lot of them are manual and cart only. The ones that are complete, that aren't, certified and all that other happy horse shit. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for that, if I didn't want to play it, I definitely want to get it preserved in some way. It's a part of history. And the reason being is because there was a limited release, and when retailers would get these games in their shops, or in their stores rather, they couldn't have them on display because of how violent they were. Now, mind you, of all these games I have here today, it's interesting the different paths that we go down to describing a game as violent and offensive and inappropriate, blah, blah, blah. But I do have a reproduction card of both. This is called an Atari Double Ender video game. So this plays two different games. This right here, like I said, is a reproduction. This was never released like this, so if you ever see it on there as being authentic, that would be incorrect. Very good label, though. The person put a lot of good effort into this. I knew it was a reproduction. They were very honest about it. I ended up pulling the trigger on this a long time ago, but this was, I believe, the cover art for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It might have been for Halloween. I'm not sure. There's many variations of them, but because there was such a limited release, they... This is explained a lot in some other videos, but that little symbol right there would have been right here. Some of them were in orange, and it looked like it was just taped on with a piece of Scotch tape. So, pretty cool. Some sort of interesting history with that, and that's the heavy hitters to the Atari 2600. I'd probably like Spider-Man 2, and like I said, the other Star Wars game. But nevertheless, that is what I got. I feel that it was a good trade. I think we got a lot of value for this. I don't know the exact amount of value compared to what I spent, but hey, I think we made out pretty well and really didn't have to put much out of the pocket. So let's get to the recap, folks. All right, we are back to the recap for the first time. Talking of the past tense, but whatever. It's all good, right? It's getting late. Got to wrap this video up. Main course before we get to the recap that we always love to hear from House of Fun Video Games is why in this particular video game store, which is named Video Craze, you know that now by some of the video you saw prior to us getting back to the game room, going to look at what we got today for our trades. Very simple. I actually talked to the owner the first day the store opened. Had no idea. I just happened to see it and pulled right over. Went and talked to him. He's a very nice, very kind person. Has a lot of information and expertise around the video games and the past, the present, and the future. We got into such great conversations. I did explain to him that I did have a YouTube channel and that I'd like to be able to shoot some video in the store, which he was perfectly okay with. But I'd rather save that for the time I want to sit down for an in-depth interview, and I could take 2 hours with this gentleman and not even feel like I did him justice for how much of an understanding of the facet of the video game business that I think some of us may have a pretty good idea about, but he seems to have a pretty good handle on things, and definitely appears to be very successful. So I look forward to doing that. I do like, you know, in a lot of other videos that we do a lot of the panning and the zooming through all the store, getting all these cool angles and everything, and I certainly want to do that. But today, there was an awful lot of people in there, and, you know, just wasn't feeling like shooting, honestly, in the building. I'd rather do it when he was there, just so that we could remind each other of who we are. And I think that is the best policy, at least for me. Not always, you know, I go into the thrift, maybe I'll shoot some things. I'm not going to always check in with every single person. It's not like it's in most places, unless otherwise stated, you know, it's illegal to shoot in these places. But regardless, it's kind of just a respect thing. I am going to be a consistent customer as many times as I can, you know, when we have more trades or just want to come in and take a look or talk video games, maybe play a few video games I don't have. He's got a bunch of different setups and everything. Wonderful, awesome, amazing store. Can't say enough great things about it. So look forward to that at some point in the future of the channel. And as always, let's get back to the recap now. So, thank you very much, as always, to the 148. You heard that right. It's been flippity-floppy between 45, 44, 46, 48. I'm okay with that. It is what it is. People are going to come and go. I have a very unique channel that goes by the beat of its own drum. Such a typical and very used set of words, a cliche, if I may, at this point. But it's just the truth. I don't really have an algorithm to the channel other than video games and thrifting, probably, because it's a lot of the content that's been on here as well. But we do a lot of other great things on here as well, and we are going to do a lot of great things going forward and into the future as well. So thank you very much for the 148 awesome, amazing folks out there who have subscribed to the House of Fun in Video Games. And for you folks who might have your first time being here, drop a subscription. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything. It will at least bring you back to the channel for some other great content. As always, near the end of the video, probably pretty close to now, I'm going to put up a playlist and a video, and of course the sub button right in the middle, where you can jump in and take a look at what else the House of Fun and Video Games has to offer. And if you do subscribe, make sure you hit the bell. Not because it's a necessary thing, but for me, even when I have hit the bell in the past, sometimes you have to redo the bell, and it goes from all to specific videos to none. Like, it's done all kinds of things. It's just the way it is. It's nothing's perfect. So hitting that bell lets you know and notifies you immediately when we have more trips to the game store, whether it's Game Craze or another one. Also Thrift Time and Finds, eBay Time and Buys. eBay Time and Buys Revisited. That's a pretty good series. This series as well, which is kind of turning into a series. I didn't know if it was going to, but like I said before, there's a lot of great things that we can do with this series. It doesn't always have to be about bringing stuff to the game store, trading in, getting some credit. There's a bunch of different things that we can do through this, and I look forward to whatever crazy, awesome ideas I have in store. Hopefully you will too. Other places that you can find me is Facebook at Jason's House of Fun and Video Games. Twitter at Jason's House of Fun and Video Games as well. We can take the conversation from here and simply put it into words, but on those platforms we can share pictures of our game rooms, pictures of stuff we collected out in the wild, grails, you name it. That is a way that we can get into a more in-depth conversation. Hopefully someday or another this platform decides to put on, gives us that options rather to be able to do those things, but right now it isn't. And if it's just a set of words and you want to say thanks and made my day better, then that's perfectly fine with me as well. But the video's gone on long enough, so you know how it is, you know the deal. Support your boy, hit that subscription button, the sub button, the bell, all that other jazz and happy horse shit. This is Jason's House of Fun and Video Games. I hope you have a wonderful night. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. The work week is right ahead of us, as always. And I will see you in the next video. But before we leave, we must add some of our collection, or some of our purchases, some of our games. I don't really know how to word it. Very simple. Some of our buys today to the collection behind you. And that's where I'll leave you. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you in the next one.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day till your dreams fade away. Like a card, never change, play the game that we say. I need a break. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on.
No, it doesn't go there. Doesn't go there. I think we're going to have to do some reorganizing. Have a good night, folks.